Okay. Hello again. Welcome back to the Obligations of Memory podcast network. We're talking and having fun listening to the beautiful music of Zola Shuman and her family story. Zola's a second generation Holocaust survivor. Her parents both were in the Vilna ghetto. And so I want to ask you, you talked about your first album. So tell us a little bit about what the title of that album is. It's on your YouTube um, channel. So, what was the first album that you recorded?
So my very, very first one was a baby album. It was called Hello Baby, for newborns, lullabies and sweet songs to make babies happy.
And why
And
why babies when you have such a repertoire of music?
um, I don't know, probably because my sister told me to do the baby album. I think she said she was very entrepreneurial, and I think she said the baby album will make money. So to do the baby album first. So I think
And
that's why I did.
and was she right? Was she right?
Um, Probably it definitely gets a lot of plays. I'm not driven by money. So
I had a sense of that.
so yes, I have sold many albums and downloads and so on. But babies, baby music is always going to be popular. So that was the first one, followed by a number of other children albums, Solace, Jolly Pop Stagecoach, and then my grown-up adult one called
Okay.
Here With You.
All right. So when you did your first album and you got the first box of CDs, right? That you got, or was it on vinyl?
It was CDs.
Okay. So when you first
Actually, no, I lie. It was tapes. They
tapes.
were cassette tapes still.
All right. So when you got your first box
Then
of
very soon after that was the
CDs.
CD. Yes.
So when you got your box of got the box of tapes, they arrived, you know,
So
by
exciting.
tell us what the experience was like.
It was it was glorious. First of there was a lot of anxiety because I definitely got the perfection gene from the mother and father, who had to be the best at everything. So I was worried, will it look right? Will the CD cover be okay? Does it sound okay? So there was a lot of anxiety, but extreme excitement when that box arrived. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I didn't know what to do with them, but they came out. And then I think I took them to school where I was teaching the next day and showed them to the kids. And I think for the first couple of weeks, I think I was walking the streets and handing them to anybody I saw with a baby pram with, is this your first baby here? And actually, after 9/11, I had heard that there were many pregnant mothers who had lost their husbands. And through various organizations, I was able to find out how to get the CDs to them. And so I donated the Hello Baby CDs to all the pregnant mothers then. So I think I've given away more than I've sold, but that's just fine.
That's okay, but I want to share this. Uh, hold on 1 second. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on a minute. My mistake. No, that's not it. Give me a second. Thought I had this right.
You've got 9 months.
I once knew a rockabye pony. For a while, I was his only friend. Until one day he flew away. I bet he went to rockabye land. 'Cause there's a rockabye carnival in rockabye land with a rockabye carousel and a rockabye band. And there's a rockabye rodeo where rockabye ponies go. So my pony must be in rockabye land. He must have heard the other rockabye ponies singing as they danced around their wishing well. He must have heard the rockabye bells are ringing as they danced around the carousel. In a circle, row by row, around the carousel they go, up and down, to and fro, round and round the ponies go. There's a rockabye castle near the Candy Pie Cafe where the rockabye ponies all love to play. And there's a rockabye pony show where ponies dance on tippy toes. So I know my ponies in rockabye land. He must have heard the other rockabye ponies singing as they danced around their wishing well. He must have heard the rockabye bells are ringing as they danced around their carousel. In a circle, row by row, around the carousel they go, up and down, to and fro, round and round the ponies go. So now I know my rockabye pony will never be lonely again. 'Cause somehow I know that wherever he may go, he will be with his rockabye friends.
So very cute, very cute. Now I remember this took me right back to my son is 32 years old, but when he was a baby or a little one, and we had the tapes too, and at that time it was Raffi. I don't know if you know
Yes,
Raffi.
yes.
And every time the Raffi loop would go, he would say again, again. I mean, I just listened to that Raffi tape and listen. So it makes me laugh when it's not, it brings me back to some good memories of that. And and the videos were the Disney sing-along songs. And that was always again, again, again on the TV. So whether we were driving or on the TV, it was always music in our lives as well. So it brings back really great memories. So you talked a little bit about being a perfectionist, and you got some of that probably from your parents. So what
Yes.
else? I often talk to our second gen here, and I have often disclosed my own shtick about my own issues with trauma. So what else did what you would say that you saw were your parents suffering outwardly, or did they, obviously like my mother, your mother never spoke, your father spoke, but not until much later. I never heard a word from my parents, not a word, just verboten, as they would say. But I'm curious to know how it has affected you, the things that you know that your parents did and what you see yourself doing. You talk about being a perfectionist. What are some of the other things that?
So there was, while there was no talk in the house necessarily, especially from my mother, when my father was very instrumental in forming a Holocaust survivor support group gathering all the survivors together who wanted to talk and be together. And they used to meet in our home very, very often, have meetings. And we weren't not allowed to be there, but there were all these strange, odd little people from different countries with different voices and different personalities, some who were very pained and bent over and didn't talk. And you could feel the suffering. You could feel the foreignness, outbursts of joy and screaming, whereas I grew up in a colonial South African etiquette, you don't scream and make noise. And these, very, very expressive. And so we got snippets of, we knew there was something wrong. We knew there was a lot different with our family. There were many silences. And then outbursts of rage from my father. He was extremely sensitive. So I used to tiptoe around him. As much as he was very strict, he would also hit. My sister got punished a lot. She was encouraged to speak her mind, but not to him. So I learned very quickly to be quiet, to keep the peace. And I'm still a peacemaker today. I don't stir the pot because hysteria, happens. So a lot of sensitivity and to be very conscious of how you behave with people. You don't know what their suffering is. You don't know what they're going through, and in all those silences, we felt that people were missing. We knew we had no grandparents. It was very different. And those silences were suffering. And when, for example, when my sister used to go out, my mother would shout, "Wo leefst du? Why are you going out again?" And I translated that, don't abandon mom again. Don't leave. The family must stay with her. And so I always wanted to be at home. And I cried at school for the first 3 years. They used to call me Waterworks. I didn't know why I was crying because I wasn't unhappy at school. But for the first hour of school, I was sobbing. And we only realized later that I did not want to leave my mother alone at home. I didn't want to be another one of her family, leaving her alone, abandoning her. So that was a big one with me. And today, I still don't like leaving home. There's a thing about being prepared. We have to be ready in case of any eventual disaster. So if I'm doing a podcast for Jeff in the night, I'm not leaving the house the whole day. In case something should happen, then I'm not available. So I need to be available in case someone needs me. That's a big one that I know came from having parents from the Holocaust.
So when you brought your soon-to-be husband to the house, what was their reaction?
No, they liked him because he ticked the box. He was Jewish. He was an accountant. He was an accountant. He came from a good family. So he ticked the boxes. He was South African. Yes, he was South African. Nice Jewish family. They weren't crazy about the fact that he would pick me up sometimes to go on dates and not come in and say hello. He would, park outside and honk the car. So that was like a couple of points off there. But all in all, they were fine with him. They were okay with him.
How about the same question when he brought you home?
Oh my goodness, no, I was the mother-in-law's favorite child. Her children used to give her a hard time, and I was all the perfect daughter-in-law. We got on extremely well. And she also became my mother because my mom died when I was 19.
Yeah.
So we had a very, very close, very good relationship. My husband was very scared of my father in the beginning because he was very stern and didn't make conversation easily to him. But over the years, it got much better and better. And then, highly respected and amazing. So it ended well.
So if your husband was sitting there next to you, what would he say is your shtick?
I buy 2 of everything. We must never run out of food, ever. That's like a big one. Hoarding things, not like the TV show hoarding, but I will keep everything in case, even things I don't like. Like I still have a lot of his mother-in-law. We live in his mother's apartment, sorry. And I still have a lot of her stuff that I don't even like, but I keep it in case of what we don't know, but we inherited the in case. So the food, yes, is a very big thing. We dare not run out of food. And also with my father used to get really upset if someone ate something special that he was keeping. He often used to go to the Polish ships to get the Polish salami and the Polish chocolates he remembers. And if we ate one of his things he was saving, there was like a temper. And so I will often, if people come to stay with me, I will label with masking tape. I will label their food or just to make sure that nobody takes what they want. You must have your favorite things. That's like a big one for me. What else would he say? Yeah, the not wanting to leave, home without making sure there are 100 lists of if someone's staying in the house while we're overseas, there's a manual. There's a list of every eventuality, what to do, who to call, etc. Even down to the fridge makes a noise, don't worry about it. And because he has a great sense of humor, he would write a big piece of paper which says, list to the lists, follow this arrow. It's something. So he makes fun of me, but he tolerates.
So when he heard you were doing this interview, what was his thoughts?
Oh, he's extremely proud of me when I do anything Holocaust related, music related, anything when I'm following my heart, when I'm teaching. He will make the sacrifices if I'm teaching, that means, or coaching, that means he's not allowed to cook. I don't want any smells in the house in case the smells bother the children. So he's got to move off the couch. He has to go out, take the dog out. Don't be home so that you're making a noise. So he accommodates me very sweetly with my Michigassen.
And what type of dog do you have?
She's a street special, pavement special, sidewalk special. We always go for the rescue. She's about a spaniel size. She looks like a German Shepherd mixed with a Whippet, maybe, Husky. We're not quite sure. She's a bit of a mess.
Mama dog or Papa dog?
She's a girl.
I mean, no,
A
but
girl.
Mama, or does she go to Mama or go to Papa?
Oh, sorry. Both. I was the one who trained her, so she was very much my dog in the beginning. And then after I had back surgery, my husband took over a lot of the playing and the walking and undoing all of my training. So I think she likes him a little bit more now because he also gives her all the treats. But she likes us both. She'll follow me through from room to room and stay in the same room as me.
So I want to ask you to tell us a little bit of the background on how you came about your process of coming to the legacy of love music. So before you talk about, how do you formulate a process? I often talk to authors and they say, don't stop the pollution, just put it all in, just keep typing, no editing, just get it all on a piece of paper and then, it'll come out. And others have a much more organized way of building their work product. So how does Zola Shuman describe her sense of process?
When I'm doing my songwriting.
Yeah.
So if I am asked to do a project, then I will focus and do some research on the content and then start writing the lyrics and then putting them to music. And as the music happens, to get the feel for the words, so the music changes the lyric often and things change together. But I will probably start with the lyric when I'm asked to do a project or commissioned for something. So, for example, in the song Legacy of Love, my sister had written her book, No Goodbyes, which tells the story of my father and her relationship in the Holocaust. And a lot of intergenerational trauma stuff is discussed in that book. But she passed away before she could really launch it fully into the world. And I began doing book talks for her.
And what's the title of the book?
It's called No Goodbyes, a father-daughter memoir by Nava Piatka.
Is it on Amazon?
It's on Amazon, yes.
Okay.
No Goodbyes. And she titled it because our family had no opportunity. There were no goodbyes. You couldn't say goodbye. And so when I was doing the talk, I realized I need music because it expresses even more than just talking about a book and showing excerpts and so forth. And so I wrote the Legacy of Love song as part of the importance of telling your story. And the thought of going, when I do the book talks for her, I title the talk From Silence to Celebration, because so many people were silenced. We have no voice, they have no voice, and we need to be their voice. And so many people were silenced even as survivors because they could not speak of the horrors. But still they were able to celebrate their life, and that is always the mission of the survivors. You must celebrate your life and live your life. So I called it From Silence to Celebration. And the importance, which is what you're doing with your obligations of memory, the importance of telling your life story is so important. And I encourage everybody to do that. And so because my sister, thankfully, and my father told their stories, and we need the testimonies, we need the life stories so that you can pass them on to generations. And every life has an important story for your next generations and for the world to know the behavior of humans. And so that's how I wrote Legacy of Love, as part of that.
And how long did it take you to write this?
When I have a lot of clarity about what the purpose of the issue is, the song comes quickly. And often I can write it very quickly. It can be a couple of hours, but it might take days to make it really work to completion with the music. So, there are quite a few that I could just knock off in a couple of hours. And some I can obsess for days, weeks, months. There's a lot unfinished still.
So when you did when you did your adult album, what was the impetus that you decided to move into doing the adult work?
Oh, that was definitely my sister. I had always written songs for grown-ups, but I'd never decided to record them and put them out in the world because I always worried that they weren't good enough. The not good enough message was very strong growing up. You must always be the best you can be. My sister got a lot of the pressure, being 8 years older than me. She got every drama from the parents and every expectation. And she got blasted very often, no, you didn't do it good enough, and so on and so on. So I would pick up these little messages slowly. So if I'm not going to do a project perfectly, I'm not even going to bother. And for me, I felt that my grown-up songs are very nice, but they don't have to be out in the whole world. Maybe they're not good enough. So I stopped. And it was my sister who pushed me to say, what are you waiting for? Just get into that studio and put your adult songs out there.
So your audiences are collectively mostly in Cape Town or in South Africa, or do you have pockets of audiences? Or do you do concerts?
I did do a lot of concerts, in the earlier years in America. I did my best concert ever was to perform at the Boston Scholars Jazz Club when my CD released. That was like amazing. That was like, dream come true. And And then, unfortunately, I emigrated back. I came back to South Africa just a couple of months after that. So the career that would have continued in America didn't continue in America, but it does via YouTube and Zoom now. So I do a lot of concerts on Zoom, international ones, and I do, from time to time, I do performances in Cape Town as well. I've sort of cut down since my back surgery, but because it's an effort to do a whole production. But I definitely do perform, just not as much as we used to. You know, we're in our 60s now.
Okay, I understand. So let me go and allow everyone to hear what a beautiful song Legacy of Love is. And we heard how it came to be. So let's listen.
Everyone has a story that is yet to be told. Every life is a journey with many chapters to unfold. Moments filled with joy, moments full of pain, lessons to be learned, sometimes over and over again. So before you leave, before you go, there's so much more of you I need to know, so share with me your legacy, every memory you own. Don't hold back for fear of tears. Share the wisdom of your years. Let us honor who you are and what you've seen. Let us honor all you've done and who you've been. For the loving listeners waiting, let the silence fall away. Your life is worth celebrating. Tell your story every day. Don't hold back for fear of tears. Share the wisdom of your years. All the whispers of your past will sing out loud, bearing witness to your heart will make you proud, and you will live forever in the hearts and in the minds of those you leave behind as a smile. Leave your legacy of life, your legacy of love, and we will smile.
And I got to tell you, every time I hear that song, it brings tears to my eyes. And your legacy of love is going around the world, and it is beautiful. And I want to thank you so much for donating your time to the Obligation of Memory podcast for the Jewish Culture and Holocaust Remembrance Group. I'm Jeffery Giesener. We've been having 2 hours of such fun with Zola Shuman coming to us live from Cape Town, South Africa. I also want to leave you that we have the Jewish Culture and Holocaust Remembrance Group is having its September event, which is 2 Holocaust survivors, Jackie Gamache and Sammy Steigman, will be telling us their live stories. So it's Sunday, September 18th, 2022, and I hope you'll join us. Thank you again, Zola.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right.